Hey guys, this video is to learn how to calculate the velocity of a ticker tape. So we're going to do two problems together to get some practice with that. So if you pull a ticker tape through a machine, we could look at the tape and figure out how fast that ticker tape was moving. Okay. So our equation for velocity to calculate it is distance over time, kind of like you see on when you drive. The road signs are in miles per hour. Miles is a distance per hour, which is a time, so a distance over time gets you velocity, all right? So we have to just find distance and time, divide them, and we can get our velocity, all right? Now the distance we're going to use, we could see that we have a tape going at a constant speed because they're equal spacing, so choose any pair of dots and find the distance between those two dots, okay? So the distance is going to be, take my ruler, pause right now if you don't have a ruler, go grab one, come back. I have about 2.4 centimeters between these first two dots, okay? So I'm just going to make a note here. What is that distance? It's the, how did we get it? It's the distance between consecutive dots. Write that down for yourself to know how to get distance, okay? That's how you get D for the formula. Now how to get T, okay? Well, let's read the problem too. It says the ticker tape machine produced this picture. The ticker tape machine was running at a frequency of 20 hertz. Let's underline that when you see frequency, okay? So that means, what does that mean? It means hertz means per second. You remember that from the pendulum when we studied the pendulum. What is happening per second? What's happening 20 times per second? Well, it means that there's 20 dots produced per second on the ticker tape. All right, so how do we find the time that the ticker tape took to go this distance, though, using that information? All right, well, 2.4 centimeters is the distance between dots there. How much time did it take to go that distance? That's what we want to know, and then we could plug that in to find velocity. Well, there are 20 dots a second. That's the frequency. So what I want you to do is basically figure out the time between one dot to another. That's just going to be 1/20th of a second, okay? Because if you get 20 dots, it's 1/20th plus 1/20th plus 1/20th plus 1/20th. Eventually, when you get to the 20th dot, it's a whole second, all right? Which makes sense because 20 dots, that's what the frequency was made in a second, all right? So if you want a rule for yourself, though, you could take the time is going to be the reciprocal of the frequency, okay? And then we convert that to a decimal. So when you divide 1/20 on your calculator, you get 0.05 seconds, all right? So we're going to say the time, it's like the period of the pendulum. The time is this reciprocal of the frequency of the machine. So make a note for yourself for that. So it ends up being 0.05 seconds when you do 1/20, all right? Now our last step, once we got our distance, we got our time, is to divide those two numbers. 2.4 centimeters, write the unit please on the top. 0.05 seconds on the bottom. You could divide that. 2.4 divided by 0.05 on your calculator. Gets you 48. And the unit is centimeters on top and seconds on bottom, so it's centimeters per second, and you can leave it in that unit, all right? Now, what I want to do is move down to the second problem and practice one more time. You try the second problem on your own pause it right now and then see if you get the same answer I do, okay? Alright, so now that you tried the second problem on your own, I'm going to do, again, velocity is distance over time. And to get my distance, I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to find consecutive dots, and that's going to be about 1.15. I'm going to estimate it for distance between the first two dots. And you might get a little bit of a different number than me. Some of them are 1.2. That's okay, as long as your answer is close to mine. And the time, well, remember the time is the reciprocal of the frequency that you find in there. So if the frequency is 10 hertz, you do 1 over 10 to get you the time that passed from one dot to the next, which is 0.1 seconds. All right. So the velocity will be 1.15 centimeters on the top for distance divided by 0.1 seconds on the bottom, and that ends up being 11.5 centimeters per second. Now, if you got 12, 13, that's fine. No problem. 10, 9, that's okay. As long as you're around like 9 to 13, I got 11.5, then your answer is close enough to mine, and you're doing well.